Yeah. So you recently published a book called Messages in the Madness. Tell me more about that.
Well,
Yeah.
what it was is essays and stories that I've written over the last 11 years about my life or various things that's happened in my life, not just in comedy, but also in my professional life. I am actually a corporate professional. I'll put it like that. Like an area manager with Ford.
Okay.
I take that back. I'm a contractor with Ford. So I guess it's basically the same thing.
Hmm.
But there's various things that's happened in my professional life, my day-to-day life, just being a father, a husband, a grandfather, different things that's happened in my life. And the reason I call it Messages in the Madness was because there are life experiences in every essay and every story. So I put things in there as far as, my comedy career, things that have happened. One particular section is called 10 things I learned from comedy. And it goes through and lists, the 10 different things that I learned that can actually be applied to people's everyday lives.
Okay.
Okay.
And
And of
so,
course, it's a picture book. There's a lot of pictures in it too. So,
okay. And the book is available on Amazon?
yes.
Awesome.
Yep. And yeah, I guess since I talked to you, man, I can't remember the last time I talked to you, but Jesus, my comedy career is still going good. I've done three national. Oh, did I lose you? Oh,
No,
there you
I'm
go.
here.
Okay, I've done three national. Well, I was on Last Comic Standing, Who's Got Jokes, Judge Mathis. Been to Germany 3 times to entertain the troops.
Nice.
Performed in right at I'm gonna say 36 states. I'm gonna say 36 because I think I lose count after a while. And I do a lot of then I have I do a lot of military shows and military fundraisers. I have an organization called Thank You for Your Service. I don't know if you saw anything on that or not,
I
but
didn't see that one.
okay. Well, we don't have a chat function. Do we have a chat function? Yeah, there we go. I'm used to using I use StreamYard.
StreamYard, and is it like a Zoom chat?
It is, but
Okay.
it's a little easier to use. But thank you for your service.com. If you want to take a look at that real quick, that is that's my nonprofit for veterans. So I take a lot of the money from my comedy and I put it into that nonprofit. And its only mission is to thank veterans worldwide. And through that, I have through that organization, I've been able to. I can show it to you. Hold on. Okay. You can see it on the website, but it's a thank you card that I
Okay.
designed, and it's got nice little words on the inside of it and everything, and a dog tag. And the dog tag says, you can't read it from there, but it says, "Thank you for your service and sacrifice. You are appreciated." Well, I have given this to over 18,000 veterans, including comedians, because quite a few comedians are veterans, like Tony Roberts,
Hmm.
Tony Woods, um, Roz McCoy down in North Carolina, uh, Barbara Carlisle. She's a
Oh yeah,
Marine.
I can see
So,
that.
so, and then I guess to give you more ammunition for our interview, um, I'm co-owner of, like I said, a lot's happened since last time I talked to you. I'm co-owner of Laughter Has No Color Comedy Booking Agency. And we were
Okay.
voted one of the top 30 booking agencies in the country because of our diverse roster. So that I put that website in. I spelled it
Laughter
right.
has no color. Got it.
Okay, so that came about. My business owner is actually older white guy who's a veteran also, and he owns a entertainment business that's been around for 60 years. And he saw me perform one night, blah, da, 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 contacted me 3 years later and said he wanted to get into the comedy business, comedy booking. He thought I'd be the perfect person for it. So why don't we go into partnership? So that's a lot of what I got going on. Actually, I was sitting here working on I was building my new website.
I did see you were looking for feedback on what you should put on there.
Yeah, no, we'll see what I decided to do, and I wish I could show it to you, but I decided to create a website called, which is my name, Vernon E. Davis II, my professional website, not my comedy website.
Yeah,
but
your personal.
It lists, I'm a published author. I'm also a keynote speaker now. I do keynote speaking on veteran suicide prevention, race relations, and motivational inspirational. Let's see. Yeah, I think I've covered everything. So on the website it says public author, keynote speaker, host, and master of ceremonies, professional stand-up comedian, founder of a nonprofit to honor veterans, co-owner of comedy booking agency, hosts 2 Facebook live shows. One of them is Messages in the Madness, and the other one is Meet the Comics.
Okay, Meet the Comics. Okay.
And I'm a U.S. Army veteran, husband, father, grandfather, great-grandfather also. I just put that in there. My wife is way older. And man of faith. I'm even an ordained minister.
I saw you in the pastor's pool. I bet you enjoyed that while he was gone.
Yeah, well, it's an ongoing joke. Wait a minute, we haven't started the interview yet, have we?
Oh yeah, we can. Yeah, we can keep it moving.
I didn't know if you was going to put it on Facebook or where it was going or whatever, but it's an ongoing joke about the pastor. When we first moved into this house, I started writing. There's 2 houses next door, and we don't know our neighbors. We all know we do not know our neighbors, and so I started writing jokes about stealing the borrowing stuff from the pastor, like the lawnmower, or swimming in the pool, or hanging out with the pastor's wife, or smoking the pastor's weed. And we were in this house for 2 years before we realized or found out that there is actually a pastor next door. She's a little old lady. She's about 90 years old. And she's been a pastor she's been a woman of God all her life. And she pastors a pretty good sized church.
And she smokes weed?
I don't know if she does or not, but I was just, being a comedian, what it was, I was just making up stuff or, doing stuff that basically, if you do something, you put it off on somebody else. That's basically what I was doing, but goes to tell you, be careful what you say, because what you say may be actually the truth. And it turns out the neighbor next door was a pastor. So it's like, So anyway, so it's been an ongoing I've tried to take it to the stage, but it just doesn't. If you don't really know the story about the pastor, or people that have been following me for years, they know about the pastor. They know so it's an ongoing thing for my Facebook people. I'll put it like that. So when I say I'm in the pastor's pool, then you'll see people they'll talk about it, or stealing the pastor's pie, or borrowing the pastor's lawnmower, or all that stuff. It just came up from a bit I was writing that never made it to the stage.
Yeah. So speaking of all of that, I did stalk your Facebook page, and now I have to be nosy, because I noticed that 2 days ago you asked a question, and it was a serious question. It was about a child showing up on your doorstep. And I was like, what is that about? I have to ask about that. I want to know. And I'm assuming your wife is Nanette, because she's like, yes. Why are you out? I was cracking up.
Yes, that is the supreme one. That's what she goes by. That's her tag, is the supreme one.
The supreme one.
Yeah, it's a long story how she got that name. It was given to her by her son-in-law. But because whenever he and my daughter would get into an argument or a discussion, she would call her mom to get the final opinion. So he started referring to, so you got to call the supreme one to find out exactly what's happening. But as far as the question on my Facebook page, what happened there was a couple of years ago, about 2-3 years ago, I was contacted by a young lady from from Fort Polk, Louisiana, and her mother told her that her dad was a veteran who came through Fort Polk. His name was Vernon, and she couldn't remember his last name and this, that, and so she started looking for her father. And she contacted me one day and asked me straight out, "Are you my daddy?" And of course I wasn't, because I was at Fort Polk, Louisiana, but I was there and I was escorted the whole time. And I never got that drunk. So it wasn't me. It wasn't me.
Oh, wow. Did she
But
actually show up at your house?
no, she didn't. But
Okay.
I started thinking about her. And, the comedic mind, what if? So I threw it out there, just to see what different people's responses were going to be, because I was actually going to write a bit about it. And see, that's what I do when I start thinking about writing bits, or, thinking about a part I want to take to the stage or something I want to take to the stage. I'll throw it out there on Facebook or on social media to get responses to it. Or I may write a joke, a quick joke, and throw it out there and see what kind of response I get to it before I actually take it to the stage.
It's a good idea. Smart. Get some feedback and, see what people are thinking, whether if they're going to like it or not. They'll definitely tell you.
Oh, yes. Social media is very, very, very honest.
Very.
If nothing else.
Yeah. So I see you are doing your virtual comedy shows. How are those working out?
Well, actually, I went on hiatus. I'm going to start those back up August 1st.
Okay.
The reason for that is because I had to change. I had to do some reset up here in my office. Bought some new equipment, upgraded my computer. Got a green. Well, I had a green screen, but I did a bunch of upgrades. Okay, and I wasn't happy with the way that the last show went. So I said, well, I'm gonna upgrade my computer. I'm gonna plan my schedule further in advance, and I'm gonna start having some standby, because I know it's hard to believe, but comedians can be a little they're unpredictable. Let's put it like that.
I know.
So
I know.
all of a sudden at the last minute, oh man, I can't do your show, because this is, look, okay. So then you scrambling trying to find somebody to put into the show. Well, I wanted to make sure that the product that I did put out was a good quality product. So therefore, I took my time, and one, I wanted to finish my book, which I did get that finished, and two, upgraded my computer system, so that therefore, when people saw the video, they saw a good, clean, quality video, had great questions, great interaction from the comedians, and it was something that people would enjoy watching. And I have been getting inboxes going, "Hey man, when you gonna start that up again?" It's coming.
Yeah.
But at the same time, the funny thing about it was, I thought about the show one day at 4:00 on a Wednesday, 4:00, and at 8:00 it was on the air that night.
Oh wow! And people pay $5 to watch the show?
No money involved.
Okay.
Because
okay.
what it was is, I decided to bring a concept, like unlike a lot of other comics, I didn't want the comedians to perform. That's why I called it Meet the Comics. I wanted people to meet the comedians in their home environment, so that they could see that we are just people just like everybody else. We just have a warped sense of humor. So therefore, it was an interview show, but I wouldn't monitor how they talked or what they said, and because it's First Amendment. So who am I to try to keep somebody from saying what they want to say? But it's amazing how funny people are when you just let them be themselves and allow them to talk.
Yeah.
And so it was a good hit. A lot of people really enjoyed it. Got a lot of emails going, "Hey man, when you bringing that back?" But and I've had people on the show like Billy D. Washington, Juan Villarreal out of Houston, and then I love the other comics from around the area. Dee Rainbow is going to be on my show sometime here soon.
Okay.
So, I've already started the footwork to get it back going, but yes. So
August 1st.
The week of August 1st. Let me look over on my computer. August 1st. So the first show would be Wednesday, August the 5th.
August the 5th. And what time?
8:00 Central, right here on my Facebook page.
Okay. Got it. And it's all free, people, so make sure you join. So speaking of which, are there any comedy clubs open in your area? Is anybody risking the comedy scene right now?
We had the Laugh Lounge here in St. Louis, which was black owned, and unfortunately it's now closed. They're looking for another location to move to, which they closed right before the pandemic, and they're looking for a new place to move to, which I hope them the best with that, because I used to actually run the House of Comedy here in St. Louis. I was the general manager for it, so I know how important black comedy is, urban comedy is, to have a comedy club here in St. Louis. We do have Helium, which brings a lot of your A and B lists, African American black comedians. Matter of fact, Corey Holcomb's going to be there, Michael Collier, so on and so forth.
I see Lavelle's coming.
Yeah, Lavelle's coming, right? Which this is his hometown. I actually started out doing comedy same time Lavelle did. That's a whole long story.
Wow.
But yeah, I've been doing comedy a long time. I quit for 10 years because my first wife said, I was starting to do more with the comedy thing. She said, either give up comedy or give up the family. I said, well, baby, I'm going to miss you. So no, I gave up comedy.
Hey, I would have said the same thing. So that's why I've been single, trying to do slapstick. It's not. I'm only going to be with somebody that's in the industry, because they will understand. Like, just because I'm at a show at night and I'm around guys, that don't mean I'm out. It's a lie. It's too much, and some people really can't handle it. They really can't.
Well, my wife keeps telling me, because I'm out, traveling all over, doing shows, and she looked at me one day. She said, "When you gonna get a girlfriend?" I'm like, "Really?" She said, "Yeah,
Oh, wow.
I need somebody to handle some of this work." So no, I'm kidding. So we have Helium. We have the Funny Bone still here in St. Louis. We have another comedy club I just performed at. It's called Backdoor Comedy Club out in O'Fallon, Missouri. And I just recently came back I've done 2 weekends since the pandemic in Kansas City at the Comedy Club of Kansas City. So comedy's starting to make some resurgence. It's starting to do some things. I've got a show this weekend. Well, I'm hosting the show this weekend down in Southern Missouri, and then I'm performing at another comedy spot here in the area. So comedy, and I'm starting to get inquiries, and people are setting dates again. And, so I'm being real cautious about setting too many dates, because we know COVID is unpredictable, Black people, we call it Rona, and usually when we give something a nickname, it's not because we love it. So
that is true. That is true.
But anyway, so comedy is still making its resurgence. A lot of comedians are doing virtual comedy. I tried it. I did it once. I'm scheduled to do another show on the 31st of July. And I'm not going to lie to you. It wasn't my favorite thing to do. It was like taking a blow-up doll to the prom. It was just wrong on so many different levels, So, but it is what it is,
Yeah.
But I really believe people are going to find the courage and put on their mask and do their do whatever they got to do to start getting back out the house to support live comedy.
I definitely hope so, because I'm in Ohio, so Dave Chappelle, he's doing his comedy shows, but they're outside, which is really smart. And I've been paying attention to see what other comedians are doing. And to be honest with you, remember we met in 2008 at the Bay Area Black Comedy Competition.
Oh God, yes, I bombed so bad. I bombed so bad. I should have changed my name to Ahmed. I was a terrorist. I do remember.
That's where we met. And your homeboy, I cannot remember his name. I can see his face.
Let me see. J. Lee Thomas, Douchey Man.
Nope.
You talking about the person who won?
He was with you. A guy that was with you. He had braids, and I think he had a hat on too.
That was Cutting T.
Yes, I knew. I said, once I hear his name, I will remember. Do you still keep in touch with him?
Yes, we do. Not as much as I should. Cutting T, he's not in the game anymore. Unfortunately, he had 2 strokes.
Oh.
And yes, love him dearly. Yes, I do. And but yeah, he's not in the comedy game anymore. But yeah, Cutting T, his tagline was everybody kinfolk.
Yes.
So, but back then, I was rolling with because I could tell you who came from St. Louis, Mr. McGriff, who won that year. So you had Mr. McGriff, who's now Courtney McGriff. He goes by Courtney McGriff. You had Maurice G, myself, J. Lee Thomas, the douchey man. They call him the douchey man, J. Lee Thomas. You should interview him. Cutting T. And then we had Tidy Dillard from Kansas City and Bobby Johnson from Kansas City.
Okay, I remember Jay Lee. I remember he had a hat with his slogan on. I can't
Yep. Yes, he is relocated to Atlanta and doing very well. Matter of fact, I've seen him has some extra parts, on different TV shows and a couple of movies, a couple of TV shows. So he's doing a project now. I believe he's working with Tyler Perry on a project down there in Atlanta now.
Oh wow! Oh yeah, I'm definitely gonna have to catch up with Jay Lee. That's what's up.
Yeah, because he and I admire him because he said, "Hey, Longhorn, I'm out. I'm going to chase my dream," and he moved to Atlanta.
So
I can't move to Atlanta. I have warrants. So.
Are they in St. Louis or Atlanta? Because you can run away from them and just go to Atlanta. I mean, they're gonna find you.
I can't disclose that because the statute of limitations hasn't run out on some of the stuff I've done over the years. So.
Oh man, yeah. It seems like our struggle and our timeline is pretty much the same because we met back in 2008, and I've been on a hiatus. I stopped doing comedy because it's a lot. It's a lot. I'm not that I do comedy. I do slapstick, but with that I had to travel. It was a lot. And then I'm a single mom. I was a single mom with 2 kids. My sons are now 20 and 22. So I always said I'm gonna stop doing slapstick. I'm gonna raise my kids, and then I'll get back into it. So now my kids are grown. They're both out of the house. One plays college football. The other one lives very close to me. And now I'm back. I just relaunched on May 6th. So I'm back for good.
I admit I was wondering what happened, because honestly, things just kind of go like that. They just go that fast, So I've often wondered, what the heck, whatever happened. And then I saw Frank Holder, God bless his soul, he lost his mother. But he was involved with slapstick, wasn't he?
No, he does humor mill.
Okay, humor mill.
Yeah.
But anyway, you see the gray hair. And this is not me doing my Uncle Ben impersonation either. I know I look like I should be selling rice, but anyway, I didn't mean to confuse y'all with each other. But
that's okay.
I quit comedy in 1995. I didn't get back into comedy until 2005. So when you met me, I had been back 3 years.
Okay.
So I get it. And I quit for the same reason you did. I quit comedy to raise my children.
Yeah.
And now they're, I probably should have just left and changed my name. But now they're grown and they're doing okay. But back then, yeah, I actually considered just leaving and changing my name because my kids are not bad. They possessed and they used to drive me fruit. But now they grown and drive me fruit. So, hey, there you go, So.
It's my story, too. I just told my sons, don't ask me for shit. And I mean it. Those days are over.
Well,
I just told them.
I tell my kids that, and then they wait a week, and they still ask me for the same thing.
Hey, that's good. Mine wait like 30 minutes. And then next day, hey, Mom, I'm like, oh, gosh, here it goes.
I get it. I'm just happy. I am happy that you are back with the comedy thing. I mean, doing slapstick because honestly, what you do or what you used to do is very valuable to a lot of comedians. I know I followed it. I kept up with it, because I used to do a thing called, well, I think you remember, I used to do a thing called Helpful Comic, trying to provide information to comedians, trying to tell them the stuff that nobody told me. And once I stopped doing it, people are like, hey man, why'd you stop doing that? I used to use that. Why don't you do that no more? It's like, I didn't think nobody, so you don't realize how important the resource that you provide is until it's gone.
Until it's gone. And that's true because I stopped and when I stopped slapstick, it was like 2011. And the crazy thing is people tell me, now they tell me that I was ahead of my time. Like back in 2008, 9, we were using green screens. I was, doing it. I had comedians interviewing comedians. We had radio, TV, magazine, like we were doing it. The thing was we didn't really have social media. It's not as big. It wasn't as big then as it is now. So now that I'm back, it's kind of challenging because one, I relaunched during the pandemic, and so I'm still trying to find ways to be. Yeah, and that's why I started it, because I was ready to relaunch again. I honestly did not know where to start. I'm like, how do I get back in? How do I jump back in? How? And so what I did was I always timeline scroll on Facebook, and a lot of the comedians were complaining. They're like, we need that platform where we can do our comedy. And I was like, that's what I was. That's, and like you said, when I left, a lot of the comedians were like, man, we need you. We miss you. I mean, during that time, I was writing press releases. I was doing everything everybody needed. Like, I had everybody's back. So everyone was coming to me, and it was a lot. I even moved to Vegas to do slapstick, and my kids stayed with my mom, and they stayed in Ohio. I was in Vegas. Like, it was just a lot. And then what made me really stop was my oldest son told me that my youngest son felt like I was choosing my company over them. And I said, I never want my kids to feel that way. That got to my heart, because, most of the time I feel like my kids are all that I have anyways. And so I said, okay, I have to put this to the side. I'm going to raise my kids. And then when they're grown, I'll get back into it. I really don't have that long to go. They were already like 10 at the time, 10 and 12. So I raised them. They both I was a single mom. They both graduated from high school. They both went to college, and now I'm back, and I'm happy.
Look, my youngest is 30.
Nice.
So I get it. I completely get it. And
yeah.
I applaud you, because honestly, I've seen some comics say, hey man, I'm sorry, I'm just going to have to do this thing, and they just got to deal with it. But, and I respect them I respect the hustle. I respect, them following their hearts. But I also have a lot of respect for those of us who do say, hey, I got to do this first. Yeah. And then I can come back to this. If God give me the strength and the blessing, I can come back to this, and I'll be wiser. I'll be wiser, and I'll know more, and I can do more. And look at you, you're back, and now you got social media. And I'm surprised you don't stream your show at the same time that you do the interview.
So not the Zoom interviews, because I typically don't do them. We just relaunched our radio show on July 9th.
Okay.
So we do stream our radio shows. We have our next show this Thursday. We do them every Thursday from 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So we do stream those shows.
I missed that because usually I'm at the county doing my, I have to go and lock down in the evening. So I have to go to the county jail and spend the night there on Thursday. So I'm kidding.
I was about to say, for real? Oh, that's hilarious. I really know somebody that had to do some stuff like that. And then I had to go to court recently. I got a speeding ticket, and there was a guy that they made him do that too. They said, you can come on Friday nights. I'll let you leave Saturday, but that's how your schedule is going to be for the next, it was like 6 months he had to do it. I'm like,
oh, wow.
Yeah.
I don't want none of that. I tell folks I'm too old to get in trouble, because I like a comfortable bed, and
yeah. I'm with you all the way. So I just hung up with Marshall Woodland, and
Woody, Miss
Woody.
Woody.
Miss Woody. Yeah, we were talking about you, and she said she wants to help you do buttons, and she wants you to contact her so she can do your buttons for you.
I will. Like I say, it's all been about priorities, and not that she's not a priority, but I was like, okay, I've got to finish some things that I've started.
Yeah.
Okay. My book. That is actually me on the cover of that book. That's my baby picture.
Wow.
Well, one of my pictures. But anyway, I had to finish my book. I wanted to finish this website, and then I had some professional development that I wanted to do, because honestly, I know a lot of comedians say, well, man, comedy is comedy. You need to just let go of the rest of that and chase this dream. And I said, look, man, I'm be honest. I'm too old to sleep in Motel 4.5s.
Mm-hmm.
I'm too old to eat off the dollar menu, and I'm too bougie to drive a Ford Festiva. So I keep a day job until your passion pays for your lifestyle. I keep a day job.
Yep.
Okay. So I had some professional development to do, and one of the things I wanted to finish was I am what they would call master certified service manager, parts manager, and master certified service advisor. Those were 3 curriculums I wanted to finish. Now, what does that mean to the average person? Not much, but in my industry, it carries a little weight, you know, so that therefore it makes it easier for me to be able to do comedy comfortably. So I can turn down the gigs that I don't want to do. You know, I don't have to try to do every gig that's put in front of me. And it's not that I'm being bougie. It's just that I had to learn and realize at one point in my life that my comedy is not for everybody. You understand where I come from with that?
Oh yeah,
you know,
I sure do. I do.
Because, you know, they go, oh man, funny is funny. Yeah, funny is funny. And I try to write my material pretty much right down the middle. Yeah, I can go, as my boy Little Rock say, Little Rock Obama, comedian here in St. Louis, he said, I can go from the funny bone to the neck bone. So basically, I can go over here to the White Club and I can come down here in the hood too. I prefer to go wherever the best money is at. That's where I prefer.
Yep. And I always tell comedians that especially the up and coming comedians, that crossover appeal is what's going to get you where you need to be at. Because there's a new comedian, and how we met is my best friend's brother. That's how we know each other. And so when he came to me, we were talking about it, and he wanted to name himself the Dope Man of Comedy. I'm like, oh, don't do that. No. Don't do that. I'm like, you're going to be in hole in the walls all the time with that name. I was like, you're not going to.
Yeah, with that name, he's not even going to do the chitlin circuit. He's going to be doing the pig feet circuit. He's going to be working on the pig feet and the pig ear and the pigtail circuit. That's not even chitlins. You know, chitlins, you know, wow, no. And see, that's just it. Like, for instance, my stage name is Longhorn The Comedian. And it's funny because a lot of comedians, especially black comedians, don't mess with me. Because I'm used, well, they don't mess with me because they go, oh man, you that crossover, you that, you know, you that bougie, you Uncle Tom, you done sold out, you on the other side. I said, no, you have to understand, I'm being who I am. I am a black cowboy, and I am from Texas. And quite frankly, I've had some guys say, man, I can't call a grown man Longhorn. Well, it's just a cow, dude. That's all it is, a cow with some long horns.
Mm-hmm.
But it was a brand that I built. And like, for instance, your guy with the Dope Man of Comedy, yeah, I don't think that's a brand you really want to perpetuate out there, you know.
Yeah.
I've been building my brand to the point now to where I'm known coast to coast and I'm known overseas, you know, because I've done 3 tours overseas. And it's a brand that I can actually go anywhere with. And a lot of our comedians, even our rappers, they don't understand that you got to be able to take whatever you do anywhere, because you don't know who's going to have some money for you.
Yeah.
And if you walk in and they go, oh man, I love this guy's music. Who is this? Oh, that's Raper Man C. Excuse me. You know, ain't nobody gonna book Raper Man C. You know.
And when you hear Longhorn the Comedian, your mind automatically says, is this a black guy or a white guy? I'm gonna have to look this up and see what I'm gonna. Yeah, so that was smart. It's like naming your child. You want your child to get a job when they get older, so you're not gonna give them this ghetto off the wall. I named my kids Nigel and Taven. They got jobs. They got good jobs. I don't worry about them.
You might not want to name them Fuquisha. That's not, you know, what you want to do. That's not what you want, you know. You know, I mean, so my kids, you know, my name is Vernon Davis. It's a very common name. And quite frankly, when people look at the resume, they think, honestly, they think I'm a white guy. Then they talk to me on the phone and, you know, we do that code switch. Hey, how you doing? This is Vernon Davis. How may I help you today? You know. And then I come in and like, oh, you're not what I expect. You can see it in their eye. This is not what I was expecting. But anyway, so I named my son Vernon Davis as well. But we called him Trey because he's the third. I'm the second, named after my daddy. He didn't have an appreciation for his name until he got older. Then he appreciated being called Vernon Davis. You know, now my daughter, I named her Vernicia. So because she was supposed to be Vernon the third, but she didn't come out with the stem on the apple. So name change. But so basically naming is so important. I mean, you start to think about comics who have used a nickname and have gone so far. If I would use Vernon Davis as just a stage name, then I'm just every other comedian out there in the world.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, you got Earthquake, you got Bruce, you got Sinbad, what are those? Those are brands.
Yep.
Weird Al Yankovic. That wasn't his name. That was, Weird Al was a moniker. So I'm just going back and forth with it, of course. But branding is just so. A lot of our comedians don't realize one thing. You know what that is?
What's that?
That this comedy or singing or dancing or whatever it is that you do, that people throw money at your feet for, is 90% business and 10% talent. Okay, because quite frankly, anybody can get up. There's a whole lot of folks with the same talent that you have. A whole lot of folks that can tell the jokes and probably tell them better than you can. But
Mm-hmm.
what's your business acumen about? What's your business acumen about? Are you on time? Are you punctual? Are you ready? Do you have a website? Do you have a business card? Can you get to where you need to go? Those are the things that make all the difference, because you may spend 3 weeks getting ready you get 3 weeks getting ready to do a 10-minute show. So it's 90% business, your business, and 10% talent. And a lot of our comedians don't realize that.
Yeah. And
Which,
so,
coming back around, Longhorn the Comedian was intentional. It was intentional. It was meant for me to be able to go anywhere and tell jokes to anybody.
mm-hmm.
And so far, I've been able to do that. I hosted the National Science Teachers Association 75th Awards and Gala Banquet last year here in St. Louis. I didn't realize how big of a deal it was until they asked me, "Do you have a tuxedo?" I'm like, "I'm not going to the prom." They go, "No, you need that to you need that to do this event." So, but they picked me because they liked who I was and what I was about. And they asked me, "You will be wearing that hat with the tuxedo, won't you?" I'm like, "Yeah, I guess I will."
You're like, I really didn't think about that, but okay.
Yeah, because I never worn my hat with a tuxedo.
Mm-hmm.
But it's a brand, and a lot of comedians, singers, rappers don't realize that, or poets, because spoken word is huge. They don't realize this is a brand that you're building, and what you actually put down on that piece of paper makes a big difference. So, I'm sorry, I got on the rant.
No, that's what we're here for. So I wanted to know, with you being in St. Louis, do you ever feel like it's not really a setback, but do you feel like there's good opportunity there for you, or would you rather be in another place like LA or Atlanta?
When I was younger, I did. I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
man, I got to get to LA, man, I got to get to New York City, man, I got to get here, there, or somewhere else, okay?
Mm-hmm.
But one thing that I did realize is that I live 2 exits from the airport. I can be anywhere in this country. I'm right in the middle of the country. I can be anywhere in this country in a matter of hours, okay? From St. Louis, in 4 hours, I can hit 5 major cities. And if I drive an additional hour, I can be in an additional 2 more major cities from St. Louis, okay? So, and then 2, the thing I've said more often than anything is that when there's a lot of comedians out in California that have been there for 15, 20 years, still telling the same jokes,
Yeah.
And waiting tables and telling them jokes while they waiting tables.
Yep.
When California ready for me, they'll send for me. When New York is ready for me, they'll send for me. Until then, I'm able to stay here where I'm comfortable and live a decent lifestyle. I'll put it like this: for what I would pay for an apartment in New York City is almost 4 times what I have to pay for a house note here.
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
Yep.
But I don't feel like I'm missing out on anything, because with all the social media and everything, and right now, it used to be 6 degrees of separation, between, and this person. Now it's 2 to 3.
Yep.
So
you're right. And that's how I feel about being in Ohio. Well, I did learn the hard way when I owned a house and everything. I ended up moving out to Vegas. I I don't regret it, but in some way I wish I did it differently because I'm in Ohio and people ask me that all the time. Like, don't you want to be in LA or New York? No, I don't. I'm a true Ohio girl. I was born and raised here. I don't live in the city where I was born. I live in Columbus, which is the capital of Ohio. I'm sure you know that. However, I feel exactly the way you do. There's an airport. I'll drive there. I will go anywhere I need to go, and I'm coming right back to Ohio. And it's funny because it was the Mark Twain Awards when John Legend, he's we actually went to high school together. And when he brought up Dave Chappelle, John Legend mentioned how he felt like he couldn't make it in Ohio. And he probably couldn't for what he wanted to do. It would just be more of a challenge because we don't have big studios and all that stuff here. But he was like, Dave is like one person that is still in Ohio accomplishing his goals. And that's how I feel. Like Dave, he's here. He's doing his outside comedy shows. He owns a farm. He lives on a farm. And that's what people don't know about Dave Chappelle. And then they have this crazy thought of what Ohio is. And I'm like, first of all, there is Black people here. I'm here. There's a lot of us here. And again, we could just travel and make things happen. But we're still making things happen in Ohio. So I wanted to hear your thoughts on that in regard to being in St. Louis.
Like I say, a lot of great comics have come out of St. Louis, Red Fox, going all the way back to Red Fox and Dick Gregory, Sid the Entertainer, Greg Warren. I don't know if you know Greg Warren is, but so there's a lot of great comics that have come out of St. Louis and that are still here in St. Louis. But quite frankly, there's that movie, Field of Dreams, that said basically, if you build it, they will come. You have to, now we're living in a world now where you have to build what it is that you want the world to see. Because if you build it and you build it well enough, it's going to grow and people are going to find you. I had a comment the other day on my Facebook page, my show, Messages in the Madness. A gentleman was watching me in Scotland. So it will grow. And then two, quick story. I did a show in Germany and performed for the troops over there. This particular colonel liked what he saw, got my information and everything. About a month later, I get a phone call, I get a Facebook message from a young lady in Washington, D.C. They were doing an event called the GI Film Festival. And the colonel and they had went to West Point together in Germany, has sent her my information and said, you need to contact this guy. And I ended up performing in Washington, D.C. at the Naval War Memorial for the GI Film Festival. They flew me in first class, put me in a 5-star hotel, da-da-da-da-da-da. But my point is that this was grown here, harvested there, and fed somewhere else. So wherever you're at, whether it's there in Ohio or in the middle of Missouri or you out in the middle of Wyoming, if you're putting out a good product, people are going to find you. People know about you coast to coast. Why? Because there's not me. Stop and think about it. Yeah. When you start thinking about comedy or just urban comedy or whatever comedy, there's not a lot of outlets that provide us information. And you Humor Mill, you guys are one of the few. It used to be not the Comedy Bible. The Comic Bible used to be out there. It was a magazine called the Comic Bible. That's gone. So all these different little pieces are falling to the wayside. And then people like you take the time to interview little bitty guys like me because I know Pierre and Sid and all these guys. But I don't consider myself to be on their level. What I do consider is that I made my own road because I couldn't ride here and I couldn't ride here. So Longhorn made his own road, and that's the ride I'm taking. I may not be rich and famous but I'm blessed.
Yeah. And I completely understand that because, I started off with just a magazine and then I started networking and doing more with different comedians. Now I started off with working with the up and coming comedians. Now I'm working with mainstream comedians. And as I started to network, people were giving me all of these ideas like, oh, you should do this. And now you should do TV, do slapstick TV. Now I'm buying cameras and we're out interviewing comedians. Oh, you should do radio. Now I literally purchased all my own equipment. We ran radio from my house. Now we're in a studio. We're actually in a studio recording slapstick radio. And like you said, people will find you because the crazier thing is I'm on LinkedIn. And so whenever I have my blog account connected to my LinkedIn account, do you know 3 days ago, there's a guy in LA, he has a film company. I don't know this guy. He actually sent me a message and said, hey, I really want to talk to you about filming a comical movie together. And I'm like, oh my gosh. Yeah. So I went to his profile, like he seems legit. And I'm going to check out his messages and stuff. But yeah, people will find you. And that's what kind of had me go on my hiatus because slapstick started to become more than what I thought it would ever be. And it just started to grow so much where I was like, I didn't expect this. And now I got to fall back because I do want to be a mom. I want to be a mom first.
Well, you know what? Being a mom and the experiences that you experience with your children is going to be a lifelong thing.
Yeah.
One day, see, you know, but the thing about slapstick, and you know, Lord forbid that it should ever come to an end, or Lord forbid it should come so big to where you have to look at it from this level and manage those below you. But then one day is going to come a time where you're going to have to put slapstick into a little box. And you're going to put it on the shelf because you'd have moved on to something bigger and better. But you'll be able to go back and look back in that box and go, yeah, I remember this, and I remember this, and I remember this. And honestly, but right next to that box is going to be that bigger box that says mom across it. And you'd be like, yeah, I did this, and I did this, and I cried this night, and I wanted to beat his ass this night. So that big box that says mom versus that little box that says slapstick is going to mean so much more. So I applaud you for putting that forward because honestly, I wish I could spend one more day with my mom. So I know your boys are very grateful to have you in their life. So you got, but I'm sorry, let me get away from that. Like for instance, we was talking about LinkedIn and the gentleman contacts you on LinkedIn.
Yes.
Why? Because people are looking for creative people. Shane was here in St. Louis and we were hanging out one week and I took him and showed him around St. Louis, you know, because he doesn't usually, you know, most of us comics, we go to cities and we just stay in our hotel rooms. Unless we rent a car and we may go visit some friends or whatever. But he says, Longhorn, you know what you need to do? I'm like, what's that? He said, you need to create some content. You need to put something out there so that people will know. Yeah, people know you funny that know you and, you know, your 5,000 Facebook friends or whatever fan, but other people need to see the other side of you. And that's what you're doing. You're creating content. And the more content that quality content makes a big difference. Quality content is what people are looking for. And the more content that you create, I mean, even if you're doing a Facebook live show, you may have 4 or 5 viewers during the time that you're doing it. But then you go back and you look the next day and you have 400, 500 views. You know, you don't know where these views came from.
Yeah.
But it's quality content. And excuse the cough. But anyway, so that's why I say I don't have a problem with being in St. Louis. I would like to go to California just to see the comedy scene there. Well, of course, you know, I met you in California. Yeah. But I would like to go to LA and just hang out for 2 weeks. Just, you know, hanging out on the comedy scene, you know, checking it out, seeing what it's about, you know. Don't get me wrong. I know I stick out. I know I stick out like a sore thumb.
What do you think you stick out?
Because that's the way I carry myself. I walk in like I own the joint. But no, but you know, and I've been blessed to have met a lot of great people in this industry. And I've worked with a lot of great people. Some people think I'm crap, and then some people love me. That's just how life goes. And guess how much sleep I lose over the people who think I'm crap?
None.
Yeah, very well. Bought me a Casper Masters. I sleep very well. Thank you very much. But I want to go see. I've been to New York, but the thing that I really want to do, and I'm doing it, I'm actually living my dream. And that's what a lot of people don't realize is that I'm living my dream right here in St. Louis because I'm able to create the content, which allows me to venture onto new stages and go new places and do new things. Like, for instance, I told you about Laughter Has No Color, right? My
Yes.
booking agency. That came, it got its name from as a tag. It's a tagline I use during my show when I'm performing in front of all those pink toes. I call them pink toes. I don't call them white people. I call them pink toes. Because no matter I don't care how much suntanning they do, their toes is always pink. But I say, look, I'm gonna show y'all something. We've been in this room laughing and having a good time, right? They go, yeah, yeah. I said, well, I have taught you tonight that, I'm the only brother, I'm the only person in this room of color. But I have taught you something tonight that you ain't realized. And they go, what's that? I said, laughter has no color. If we can laugh together, we should be able to live together. And laughter doesn't have any color unless you have really funky breath. And but it's that content, again, content that spreads and allows. And the reason why I'm studying, I get booked in places where people of color don't have never even thought about going. One of my best paying gigs I've ever had was in a town called Pecatonica, Illinois. The only thing darker than me was asphalt. But
yeah, it sounds the name sounds.
Yeah. But it's content, the content that we create, even the content that you create, and that's what we're missing, and a lot of us don't realize. We think that we just got to get all these hits on Instagram. Instagram is wonderful, but you want professional hits? Get your butt on LinkedIn. Like, for instance, that's where me and you started. Reconnected at LinkedIn, and you still a friend on my Facebook page. Yeah. But when you started, I'm gonna show you how far. When you started out, you was on MySpace.
Yeah, oh my God, yes, you are. Oh my gosh, you're right. You're right. And it's so funny you say that, because I actually, I thought about it like last week. And what made me think about it is, at the time when I got on MySpace, I had a boyfriend. And the only reason why I got on MySpace was to promote Slapstick. And he was so mad that I created this page. So, of course, I mean, we broke up. It was like 2005. We broke up. And then last week when we did the radio show, after the radio show, one of the comedians who was on the show, he came up to me and he said, Misha, your ex said that he pretty much regrets how he treated you when you were doing Slapstick, and he mentioned that he saw that we were getting back in radio again. And I'm like, I mean, I've only had 2 boyfriends, so I'm like, oh gosh. And I'm like, I didn't even know he still existed. But that's so funny that you say that, because that's where I started at, was MySpace. And I remember that broke up my relationship, and I didn't care, because all I'm trying to do is promote. I'm not trying to meet guys on here. It's just funny how times are. Yeah. MySpace, you're right.
But MySpace. I've been following you. That means not following you. I don't mean to sound like a stalker, dude. But that's where I was one of those comments. I did my research, and you were creating content back then.
Yeah, it was like 2005.
Right. So this is the reason why I guess in the comedy game, I guess I'm kind of low key. People know who I am, and I go places, and I was a keynote speaker at St. Bonaventure University for Veterans Day. And people go, how the hell do you get a gig like that? By going back to what I said before, 90% business, 10% talent, creating content and connections. Like I connected with you, like you say, back in 2005. Now, that's a seed that was planted back then. And you probably looked at me and did what everybody else did. Looked at, who is this crazy mother in the black guy in the cowboy hat, and you met me in California. You saw, no, this is real. Hat, boots, the whole nine.
The whole nine.
But they go, oh man, you just putting on an act. I'm from Texas. This is me. This is how I rock. Over here. I'm gonna turn my camera for a second. There's 2 hats right there on the wall.
I've been eyeballing them the whole time.
And then I got my American flag, my Longhorn flag, my Texas flag, U.S. Army right there. But it's not an act. It's who I really am. And that's just it, though. Authentic people tend to grow together, because when you plant like seeds, they pollinate each other. You know, when you plant like seeds, they pollinate each other. You can't plant okra beside watermelon and get okra watermelon. It don't work that way. So basically, you planted your seed in 2005. I was just getting back in the comedy game in 2005. Okay.
Wow.
So I wasn't ready to be, at that point, I wasn't ready to be um, on your slapstick radio or slapstick TV or be interviewed by slap. I wasn't ready for that.
Mm-hmm.
But now I have grown 15 years later and boom, cross
And
pollination.
here we are, back at it, and here to stay. Yeah. And you never know how well you're doing until you get those compliments. Like I remember Bob Sumner, he gave me a compliment. He said, Misha, I want you to know I like everything you're doing, and there's nothing ghetto about your magazine or your company. And I'm like, thank you. He's like, you got real designers, you don't use templates. Like he just broke it down for me, and I was like, wow, that's pretty observant. I never thought about it like that. And then I had another.
No, go ahead.
Another comedian, mainstream comedian. He said, I want you to know that you have something very special. He said, if you ever get an investor and they want to come into your company, do not take less than $1 million. And I'm like, that's how you think about what I'm doing? He's like, I'm telling you, like, don't take less than $1 million. And I was like, wow, that's what made me realize, like, I never felt needed or wanted or anything, but I feel respected. And that's what makes me that motivates me to keep going. Because that's important to me, is the respect part.
And that is a very big part of it. Now, I'm going to tell you, yes, he's right, because quite frankly, you have a very unique product. Your product is unique. And so therefore, the people that do support or frequent your media are pretty much, they are like-minded people. It's about comedy, and it's about the comedians and what they're doing is, so therefore you have a very focused audience and people, because right now everybody's scattered brain. You got, you ask people, what you watched last night? Oh shit, I watched Netflix, I watched Amazon, I watched the Disney Channel. Nobody's focused anymore. But when they're watching your product, they are focused in on slapstick. So therefore, whoever told you that is right. But I'm gonna tell you, you talk about Bob Sumner. Bob Sumner changed my life.
He's an awesome guy.
Let me explain. I hosted the at the House of Comedy. I hosted the one mic stand. One mic stand. Anyway, it was something that Bob Sumner was doing.
Yeah, you're right. It was called One Mic Stand. You're right. That is it.
I hosted it, and he told me to my face, "You're just not black enough. Your comedy's not black enough." And I said, "You know what? Thank you for that confirmation." And then I didn't tell him, to myself. I said, "Thank you for that confirmation." And the reason why I said that is because that was a catalyst for me to go ahead and pursue. Because see, I thought since I was black, I was supposed to just be doing urban comedy. Mm-hmm. But that was the catalyst for me to go ahead and do what it is that I knew I should be doing. Not just making black people laugh, I should be making everybody laugh. And so that was a catalyst for me. And then on the mainstream side, you ever heard of a comedian named TJ Miller?
No, I haven't heard of TJ.
Okay. Have you ever seen a Transformers movie?
Yes.
Okay. Transformers movie, the one with Mark Wahlberg. And long story short, he had a brother who, big old tall guy with curly hair, and he drove a little bitty Mini Cooper and talked like a surfer dude. That's TJ Miller. Okay. I'm opening for TJ Miller in Kansas City at Stanford's Comedy Club. At the time, and when you met me, I had a gold tooth because I'm an old country boy from Texas. Yeah. I had a gold tooth. And he walked up on me. I killed that weekend. I sold like 60 DVDs that weekend. That was a great weekend for me. Anyway, so he comes up to me, he goes, "Longhorn, let me take your picture. We'll put this on Twitter." Okay, what's that about? He goes, "I have never in my life seen something this country." I'm like, "What do you mean?" He goes, "You're a black guy in a cowboy hat with a Bluetooth," because I had my Bluetooth earpiece in, and a gold tooth. And I'm like, oh my God. And it just stayed with me. And I took, and it's like, I got to change this. I got to change I got to change this because this is not working. I took the money I made from opening from him that weekend. That Monday, I went to my local dentist and started making preparations to get that gold tooth taken out of my mouth. So yeah, TJ Miller changed my career because once I took that gold tooth out, my career went from went to, I mean, it did a 45-degree climb because it changed me. Bob Sumner changed me. Your boy, Cole, not B. Cole. I could see him. Oh, shoot. Big old tall dude from JD. JD changed me because JD told me, Longhorn, whatever you do not stop rocking that cowboy hat and that American flag shirt. Keep being you because that's going to take you places. He told me that 13 years ago. But getting back to what I'm saying to you with slapstick, I'm glad you're bringing it back because, see, you were making a difference back then. Okay, and you did this for how many years before you stopped? And now you're able to pick up where you left off at, and you got comedians going, hey, you want to interview me? Or, hey, can I get on? Or what do I need to? So then now they're coming to you. Before you had to go to them.
Yeah, yep, yeah.
So what it is like, it's like I say, it's little things that people say or do that change your life, that cause whatever it is that you are trying to grow.
That is true. That is really true.
I know, I'm sorry, I know I talk a lot, I'm old.
No, I'm enjoying our conversation.
Well, thank you.
Yeah. So if you could give advice to an up and coming comedian, what would you tell them?
Go buy my book. No. Because, hey, baby, I guess you don't know about this pimp game. This pimp game is like this. Yeah, I'm not supposed to, the game is supposed to be sold, not told. I'm not supposed to be telling you things. What's wrong with you? Let me shake my shoulders at you. What are you talking about? But no, if I was going to tell a comedian something, honestly, I would say, shut up and listen. You do not know it all. Don't take advice from open mic comics, because if that's all they've ever done, if they've been doing comedy 10 years and all they've ever done is an open mic, they do not have a way to help you get to the next level. If you're the smartest person in the room, get out the freaking room. Go to the comedy club, pay if you have to, sit in the back, look, sit back there, shut up, listen and learn. Don't steal jokes, just sit back there, listen and learn. Save your money. Please save your money. And if you're trying to get into comedy to get rich, you're in the wrong game. You got to get in it for the love, because if you love what you do, the money will come.
Yep.
But you got to love what you do. You got to be committed to what you do. The money will come. It's not going to come overnight. And last but not least, don't lie to yourself. Case in point, I remember I took the lady who is now my wife to, matter of fact, this was shortly after Miss Woody, who you just talked to earlier. She had let me host a show for her. Right before it, matter of fact, this gentleman offered me to do a show at his club. Gave me a very small budget, said, you can come do the show at my club. Okay, great. And I did the first show, and she came with me, and I was so happy. I was levitating. I mean, I was just, I was just happy. I said, so baby, what you think about the first show? She looked at me, she said, have you ever thought about just promoting shows? So she hit me right in the middle of the forehead and let me know, yeah, she didn't think I was that funny. But what I did with that, what I did with that was I appreciated the honesty. And that's what a lot of comedians don't know how to appreciate, is the honesty. They think people are hating on them. Take the honesty and grow with it, grow from it, or grow away from it. One of those three. If that makes any sense.
It does. I was watching Def Jam's 25th anniversary last night, and I think it was Dave Chappelle. When they opened, he was on stage and he said, comedy has a way of weeding people out right away. And I said, that is So true. It's very true. Right away,
Yeah.
somebody will let you know.
Yeah, well, and then the last thing I would tell a comedy is learn the business of comedy. Pick up a freaking book.
Mm-hmm.
Because who's that? Tyler Craig. I love Tyler Craig.
Yeah.
I was I mean, he was in the room one day and comics was just, I mean, it was in the green room and comics was, they was talking big crap on me. Just talking. Longhorn ain't funny, he ain't this, he ain't that, you know, da 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 da. Tyler stuck up for me. He said, hey, I'm gonna tell y'all something. Longhorn's comedy may be junior, maybe sophomoric, but Longhorn is a senior when it comes to this business. He knows business. Now, when his comedy catches up to his business, he ain't gonna be messing with none of y'all.
None of y'all. None of y'all.
But that's not true. I still mess with a whole lot of folks. And what I do is I reach back and I pull comedians forward. Come do this show with me. Come on, do this show until you burn me. And then when you burn me, I'll drop you off a cliff in the middle of the night.
Yeah. You're like, I'm not even going to help you get in Miss Woody's cab now. Not at all. Mm-mm.
I got nothing for you. But and I know it's not that, it shouldn't be that way, but the way I look at it is we're dealing with grown people. And grown people know how to act, or they should know how to act. So that would be my advice to comics.
Yeah. So we discussed the book. We discussed your online comedy show. Is there anything else you want is there anything else that you want our audience to know that you have upcoming?
That I have upcoming. Well, I got this rash on my shoulder. No, actually, just I got this book out. It's on Amazon. It's called Messages in the Madness. I've actually already started writing my second book,
nice,
which is called Let Me Fix That For You. What it is going to be a series of essays, and what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to help educate what I call pink toes. I'm trying to educate people that are not of color to understanding those of us of color, but putting them to them in a fashion to where I'm not preaching to them. I'm just trying to teach them. Like, for instance, one of the first, a matter of fact, it's on LinkedIn if you want to read it, but it was like, this is not arrogant, no, not cocky, not arrogant, confident. Because what happens a lot of times is people that are not of color automatically assume that when we come to the room and we're confident about who we are and what we are, they assume that we're arrogant or we're cocky. No, America, y'all have taught us if we don't come with a certain amount of confidence about us, you will chew us up and spit us out. You will ignore us. You will not give us a seat at the table. So therefore, we must come like we own the room just to be heard. So it's things like that that I'm writing about, and I'm writing about them from my own perspective so that I could show the non-colored part of America that, no, this is really what you're seeing. This is not what you're seeing, and don't believe what the media, this is really what, I've got a story I got to write about a noose. Somebody hung a noose in front of for me on my day job. Yeah, so, so I got to find a way to write it to where I'm not criminalizing anyone, but I want to write it. I'm going to tell the story, but I'm going to tell the story because, quite frankly, nobody that was with me was responsible for this. The people where we were at were responsible for this. So I'm not trying to throw anybody under the bus, so yeah, that's what I'm working on next. Other than that, I'm just traveling all over the country, going where, hey, they got a check, I got jokes. Have jokes, go travel. So.
Got the check, have it ready. Make sure my name is spelled right, huh?
I don't care what you call me. Just make sure my name is spelled right.
And what are your social media sites?
Let's see. You can find me at walmart.com under wanted. See, some of your viewers may be a little too young to remember the wanted posters at Walmart, or you go to the post office, they had the little wanted posters right there. That was the first social media right there. But no, you can find me. I'm on Facebook. Longhorn the Comedian is my fan page. Vernon Davis, my real name, but it says Longhorn the Comedian on fan page, on on Facebook, Instagram, Longhorn the Comedian. My webpage, longhorncomedy.com. My comedy booking agency, laughterhasnocolor.com. Thank you for your service. My site for veterans is THANK, the letter U, the number 2. No, I'm sorry, letter number 4. I'm sorry. Thank you for your service.com.
Okay.
And my book is Messages in the Madness on Amazon. And last but not least, I'm building a page right now as we speak, which is VernonEDavisII.com. And what it does is just basically gives you it's like a buffet. It gives you all of what I do. Because honestly, we as comedians, we cannot be one-dimensional. We have to be multifaceted.
Very true.
So.
Very true. Yep. Yeah.
Yeah, this hour has gone by fast.
I know. That's what I was looking at the time. I'm like, it's already been 1 hour and 13 minutes. Wow. That means we've had a great conversation.
Well, I hope I haven't bored you to death.
Not at all.
I know I tend to talk a little bit. And, you know, I heard I got a Swanson TV dinner waiting on me for dinner tonight. You know.
I understand.
It's the Hungry Man, so it's got 3 pieces of chicken, okay? So a lot of young folks don't even know what that is. TV dinners. They don't know nothing about that.
Nothing about it. I know. Well, I definitely appreciate your time, and it was so good catching up with you.
The pleasure.
You know, we'll definitely keep in touch from here on out.
The honor and privilege was mine. I say God bless you. Stay safe, stay healthy, keep pollinating them flowers.
I will. I promise.
Okay.
Okay.
Take care.
You too. Bye.